Hey, what's up, folks? This podcast is sponsored by King Arthur Capital Group. Fund Your Fight Camp, showing fighters how to leverage credit and capital so they can treat their career like a business. I love to share that information with as many people in the combat sports world as possible. Go check out the Interlude episode I did with David King Arthur McElroy. We talk all about it with financials of all sorts, always being a prevalent topic for, fighters, managers, promoters. Hit up King Arthur Capital Group at Fund Your Fight Camp on Instagram. Check out Fight Club Crate, mystery fight gear, knockout prices, undisputed value, combat sports boxes delivered monthly. Use my promo code TAPTHAT15 at Fight Club Crate for 15% off your first purchase. And, with Father's Day right around the corner, that's a great idea, great gift idea for the combat connoisseur in your life. That's for the person that you never know what to necessarily get them. That's a good option because Fight Club Crate has a lot of really unique products from some really cool companies in the combat sports space. They're posting pictures of that stuff all the time on Instagram at Fight Club Crate. Last but not least, Substats is the analytics and intelligence platform for competitive grappling, giving the promoters, leagues, commentators the data they've never had, matchmaking tools, athlete profiles, event breakdowns, and match analysis powered by computer vision. If you compete, promote, or you just love the sport, check them out at substats.app and Substats on Instagram. It's the analytics layer in the sport that the sport has been missing. And especially for people in the competitive grappling world or people that are looking to, give themselves the best information possible to improve their game moving forward, check out substats.app. And what is up, everybody? This is Brady Grove bringing you another interlude episode of the Tap That MMA podcast, going live on YouTube, doing things a little bit differently. As you all know, if you search on Twitter, RotoBrady, you will not see an active account anymore. As I've said, some political freak hacked my account. I can't believe that's a real thing, but I'll tell you, it's been a real pain. And so if you search it, it'll be inactive. That account got suspended. And Twitter says they can't verify that it was mine for 6 years. So we're going live on YouTube so that I don't have to post links anywhere. And with me today, you heard it there, folks. She is a 7-11 strawweight and atomweight. Has fought in some of my favorite promotions out there and has fought a lot of great fighters in those two respective weight classes. Give it up for Katie Maquina Asesina Perez. Katie, thank you so much for being here today. How's it going?
Hey, it's going well. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So I can't even hold myself back from this being the first line of conversation. Is I am a huge fan of Ryzen. Ryzen as a product, pound for pound, if it was as big as the UFC in financial resources it would be considered that's the gold standard. I love the product that Ryzen puts on. I love the pride rules that they stick to. And, if you're able in the United States to, stay up from midnight to 6 in the morning to watch a Ryzen event, it is some of the best pure MMA entertainment that there can be. It's a real throwback, and it's unique. There's not a lot of promotions that make you feel like it's the early 2000s again in all the good ways. And so how did it come to be? Because there's so many fighters I talk to on here that I'm like, you should look at fighting for Ryzen. I think they would love you. And it just doesn't seem to be on a lot of people's radars, or it's not something that they're managers or in talks about or whatever. So how was it that the opportunity for you to fight under the Ryzen banner came about?
That's a really good question. So, like as you said, also a huge fan of Ryzen. Amazing promotion. They capture all the best parts. It is that true MMA. I love the rule set. I love, like you said, the way it makes you feel. It feels like when I was back in college and like watching MMA, like, just like on a laptop, everyone kind of huddled together. These crappy streams with the pixels going in and out. Man, I would like the it captures that vibe, and the hype levels are so high. Like they really really put all of the effort, 110% into everything from gosh, just every aspect, not just the fighting itself, but like all the pieces that go around it that build up the experience, for the fans, for the fighters, for everybody. So yeah, absolutely huge fan as well. And that time change is a beast, but if you can swing it, it's worth it. Um,
I mean, what's like
I'm not like 100%. So the way my like the way my coach and I have it set up, my coach is also my manager. Is my job is to train and to keep myself healthy and keep myself fit and keep myself at my correct walk weight, which is just like 150, and then be available for fights. And he goes out and finds me fights. And so he's got a really good, like connection and network base. And he's always kind of putting out those feelers. He's known that it's like a crazy dream of mine. That I and also as a natural atomweight, someone who can fight in that weight class with relative ease. It's not a hard weight cut or anything. That's where most of the atomweights are. I would say is that side of the world. So we've kind of bandied it back and forth over the years of like, man, it would be so cool to fight in Japan. It would be, all the atomweights are over in Asia. How do I get over there? And so I know that's something that he's probably been working on for a long time. I was working with someone named Carlos who helped kind of facilitate that conversation. But from my experience, I was just training one night, and I was going to be doing a Shark Tank, like kind of a fight simulation with all of my teammates jumping me for a while. For those who are not familiar, and my coach, right before we started, said, "Hey, we're going to change the rules on this one," because he had just taken a phone call, like at the end of class, and he never does that. And I was like, "That's weird." But we're going to change the rules on this one, and we're going to allow elbows. I mean, no, sorry, we always allow elbows, but like we're going to allow knees and kicks to the head of the ground of the opponent. And I was like, "Hello." So he didn't explain himself until afterwards. He's like, "Okay, the reason we changed the rules for that particular practice session is because you have an opportunity with resin." So that, for my experience, I was just like training one day, and then the rules got shifted on me, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome." And so that was like kind of how that played out for me experientially.
That is a hilarious way to find out. Like,
right.
Like today, we're gonna allow soccer kicks. Like, all right, well, we've certainly never done that before. So is there a purpose for that? That is, and that is like Ryzen. It's strange because Japanese MMA has always been there. Like from the very first day, that not even before the UFC, like probably in like 1970, like people that were the real like pioneers, like the real like first people to do it, not like the first people to be famous or great, but like the first people to actually do MMA. Japan was always involved, and it's always been there. They've always had a very unique culture for the fans and for the fighters. And what I love is like, you get the complete silence of the crowd, like during the fight, and they're paying attention and they react to things that should be reacted to. But I also love their flair for the dramatic. Like they compartmentalize all the stuff where it should be. Like the fan noise is, there's walkouts and people do like big dance routines with 20 people or something, or there's always something dramatic, and they embrace it. That's like that's always been a part of that. It's what people loved about Pride, and it's like the last the last 1B promotion, because it's weird to classify promotions like Ryzen, Octagon, KSW, where it's these are this is an incredibly high level of the sport.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Those are promotions that are definitely not regional feeder promotions. And then there's something like the UFC, which is in terms of brand recognize power or whatever it is, that's like the Disney Corporation, that's so and I don't mean that as a knock. I just mean that's the level of well, they're here. I don't see them necessarily going away unless something crazy happened. So that's kind of so Japanese MMA has always been a fixture and has always needed to be an important part of MMA culture. And so what was it like for, your first experience in fighting within that?
Oh my gosh, it was absolutely phenomenal. I can't even really put into words. It's been a little while now, and I'm still unpacking it or going back through the memories and the experiences of it as people ask me about it and I share it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and then there was this, I completely forgot. First off, a massive honor. There's something about the way that people interact with fighters over there that is, respect is at the core of every interaction. I noticed, and that's, some part of I kind of completely fell in love with Japan. I'm I went over there, I'm I don't want to leave. We came back, I'm I'll hop back on a plane. We can go back now. It's fine. And it's because of the people. It's because of the way and the culture, the way they interact with the world, everything being about improvement and doing this to your best of your ability. And whatever this is, whether it's helping somebody with their bags at the airport or being a fighter or running a corporation, everything everybody was doing seemed to be at their highest level, just with the most intense focus. And that applied everywhere. So the people who are fans of the sport are being fans of the sport with all of their being in that moment. They showed up for the ceremonial weigh-ins and we're in this amazing, massive mall and the kind of, I guess, theater space of that mall. And just stacks of floors and people 20 people deep on each balcony, kind of jostling to try and see what's going on. And then hanging out for an hour afterwards and people losing their minds, so excited to be there. And oh, can I get a signature or take a picture? And the way that people interact with the sport is so there's so much love for what's happening, for the performance itself, for the sacrifice. I had so many people reach out to me. This more online because obviously the language barrier. I am learning Japanese. It's going real slow, but I'm learning it because it's a very, very cool language.
I can tell.
But or people would come up with their phones and something pre-typed into a translator, and it would be a cool way to kind of communicate. But so many people have reached out to me and you are the ones putting your lives on the line. Keep your chin up. We appreciate you. You showed great fighting spirit. We love getting to see you. We hope to see you again. I hope to see you come back. So much of this positivity for a performance that I was devastated. I was heartbroken that I was man, I know I'm capable of more. And I think I let the moment get to me. I let the bigness of it and oh my gosh, this is it. This is the stage. This feels like home. This feels like where I want to be. And instead of embracing that and relaxing into it, I kind of just psyche dove off a cliff, and I feel like I never pulled the trigger. And I think that's apparent in my performance, which I am ashamed of, frankly. But it is one of those things in fighting. You have a bad day at the office, everybody sees it. You only get so many days. It's a completely different type of thing where how many fights can someone realistically squeeze into a career? Let's say it's a wild number. For these days, 50 is insane.
Yeah.
Getting 50 fights in before you retire is ridiculous. Which means each one of those days is so heavily scrutinized and so available for scrutiny that sometimes I think we put too much pressure. I put too much pressure on myself to like make it perfect, and that's impossible. I'm sorry, I sidetracked a little bit, but like,
No, I think especially when talking about fighters that people are watching and analyzing, and people are like, "Oh my god, like that fight was horrible. What's like the matter there? He's a like there was a fraud check, or he sucks." And it's like, dude, have you ever like gone to the park to shoot like basketball, and you're shooting, and you're like, "Ah, God, I can't make anything today." It's just like that. It's just sometimes people have like worse days than others with stuff, and the thing is we don't I don't know if we'll ever have the tools and analytics to know everything that goes into anybody's fight, you know. Yeah, I mean, you see, it's hard to go fight like for the first time under like the a banner of a big promotion. You see that happen when people go from like Bellator or the PFL to the UFC. You see it when fighters go from the UFC to when they went from Bellator to or PFL. It's just hard to, you know. I think that what you said makes a lot of sense, just because it's it is a leap you have to take, in your psyche to, fight for the first time with a big promotion. And, if especially if the other person, like, has experience with just being at that place, they're not learning anything like new or anything like that. And then that's like a little bit over that, like, they don't have to worry about during the fight camp that you do.
yeah, and that can definitely be an element of it. I've said it a thousand times. It feels like at this point, but I'm not the first for sure. Everybody always says that fighting is like 10% physical and 90% mental, and everybody trains. They train their body. But that mind stuff matters, man. Like it's not just, and it is mindset, and it is all that mental preparation, but it is um, being able to take on board last minute changes, or this is your new walkout pattern, or this is what you're going to be doing right before. And those things are impactful. And I think, like you said, it's cool because there's a slippery slope, right, to looking for reasons and analytics. That the distance between there and the word excuse is very close. It's like, oh well, I was not feeling great, or the plane, or this. And for me, in my humble opinion, no excuse, performance. But there are absolutely impacting factors. Um, a pattern I've seen as a fighter is that like the week before you fight, something goes really sideways in your life. And it might be something physical, like you break a toe in training and you're like, I have 1 week. Why? It might be something like emotional, like something happens in your family, or your partner breaks up with you, or something crazy goes down there. It could be like stress-wise, you get fired from your job, your car breaks down. There's always something that goes wrong. And I've seen that happen with other fighters too. Like the week before you fight, something really nuts just occurs, and it almost feels like the universe asking, like, do you want to fight? Are you sure? Is this what you want to do? So it's cool to take that as a challenge, but it absolutely is impactful.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think anybody's like, gonna go through their career without like having one of those weeks. It seems like everybody's had like, a few of them. It seems like it's impossible, when you're constantly training to fight, and if you fight 4 times a year, I think certainly, like, there must have been 4 weeks for me this year where I was like, oh my god, if anything else happened, like, so those are, but this is less why, like, because it's not excusing, anybody's performance necessarily, but on the point of the difference between Japanese and MMA culture, as far as the fans go, Japanese and American culture, MMA culture, as far as the fans go, is the way that you like do evaluate someone as a fighter as a whole based on one performance. I think because, like, take Sean Strickland, like in his second fight with Dricus du Plessis, it's like, oh, okay, like I think like I think like that was probably the beginning of the end. And then what the hell? He just beat Hamza Chimaev. So like I guess like I guess sometimes people have off nights and sometimes they have really good nights.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those like it's a cool thing, they talk about matchups make fights, or because the best fighter in the world could be somebody you've never heard of before, or the guy who could beat, I don't know, John Jones in his prime might just not have had the opportunity, but he was starching everybody. It's like you almost wish we could just fight all the time, because then we could shake it out, and it would take that pressure off it, because you get a lot of people who are amazing in the gym, and I have a lot of teammates who just like blow my mind with what they're capable of, even just athletically, in the moment in the gym when they're not stressing about it, because they're just like, oh, train, work hard, get better. And then, it's real hard not to choke sometimes when you've got 3-4 chances a year at best to put on a fight, put on a show. And for me, as a small female, it can be a little tougher even to secure those fights. And like as I said, I don't have the stress of finding those fights and securing them, but it is like a fact that when my coach brings me an opportunity, odds are I don't have like 50 other opportunities around the corner. I'm not like a guy who's a 155er and there's a million of you. It's just like, take this fight, or maybe don't fight again this year, or take this, it's, and for me, that's, the choice is easy. I get to fight. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Please. I'm not really picky about it. I love to do this. I hate to do it a little bit. There's a little piece of me that hates it. And I think that's necessary. I think like it's really important. And I used to deny that about myself. Like, no, I just love to fight. I just love it. But like there is that like little animal part of your brain that's like, why are you doing this? What are you doing? Stop it. But it's like, you feel so alive. You are so alive in that moment in fighting. And if the most alive I ever feel is 3 or 4 times a year, because I'm as many times as I can get in a cage with someone trying to kill me, I want to feel alive as much as I can before, my opportunity to do so changes, and then I have to figure out another way. I don't know if that's a healthy way to look at it, but like it's so critical to me as to like self-actualization.
I mean, I think it's as simple as like different things give people, fulfillment and like drive them, and different people have different things, and like some people that thing is like they, I don't know, need to get out and fish like 8 times a year or something, or like that's what that is. It provides something different. It probably isn't the same level of rush as like being in a professional MMA fight, but like it's the thing that drives you. And like eventually, people, in every walk of life has to at some point like navigate a transition period between the thing that was driving them for so long, because eventually like either there's nothing more to do or you can't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's something I'm confronted with a lot. I just had my 33rd birthday, and it's like it's such a short window is MMA, and it doesn't matter when you start. I happen to start a little later, I think than a lot of fighters who are getting going now, which I love that for them. Like I wish I had realized this was like a viable thing to do when I was 16, 17, 18. I didn't, and that's life is what it is. Maybe my experiences from when I fell away from martial arts and college and coming back, and like my life going off the rails and using MMA to get back on track, maybe that's what it makes it special for me. So I can't like go back in time, and I can't wish that I would be able to change things. But yeah, like it's a short window, no matter what, that your body is able to do it, that you're able to perform in a way that's satisfactory. It's yeah, and in a sport where satisfactory is not enough, simply not. So it does prey on my mind sometimes, and it does in moments push me harder. Like, oh, okay, I gotta train crazy hard because this is, like there's going to be a time when it doesn't matter how hard I train because it's just going to be for me and my personal like health and enjoyment. I'm always going to train. It is who and what I am. Like I'm at this point, like I'm a lifer, it's not going anywhere. I've been doing martial arts since I was really small, and I'm still pretty small, but like, young. And it's just a big part of me and my identity and my, I guess, personal culture is a way to put it. I don't know. It feels a little weird saying that, but like,
yeah,
fighting. Pardon?
What would be the word for personal culture? Like, there's got to be like, because I get what you're trying to say. Like, it's a part of you. But no, go on with what you were saying.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, I just find a word for that. But it's such a driving factor in my life, and like I said, it is my mental health too. It's my I'm staying healthy with my relationship with food, my relationship with sleep, with taking care of myself because of fighting. And so in those times where my mental emotional state hasn't been so great, I've been able to say, hey, I got to take care of myself because if I don't, my friends are going to destroy me on Monday. So I have to eat right. I have to sleep well. I have to take care of myself and do all these recovery things. And I treat it like a job because it is my job, but I've been treating it like a job since day one. And it's critical. And I get to weigh every decision that I make in life against, will this help me in my fight career, or will this hurt me in my fight career? Or is this like just, neutral and it doesn't really matter? But nothing is neutral. So like, not truly, there's always going to be a way that it breaks. So it's been a huge source of clarity in my life. And just driving force. And the fact that it's not forever, the fact that it's temporary is, I think, part of it. It's part of why it's beautiful. Kind of like we like watching fire because we know it's going to burn out. We love watching sunsets because it's just an instant and then it changes, and an instant and then it changes and then it's gone. And that's very much a fight career in a nutshell.
So to go like backward in your career, because like you've fought with a lot of very these ads on Topology. No, you fought with a lot of really interesting promotions and promotions that like hold like unique cultural places within MMA, like so like Invicta, Combate, like two very unique promotions. Combate is sort of like, of that like Brave CF level where it's like it's kind of like right there with like the KSWs and the like, you see people that are champions in those promotions go on to do very well everywhere else that they go. Like it's a very good testing ground. When I see that someone who is making their UFC debut, it's like like I don't know where his opponent fought in Brazil, but this dude is 3-0 and Brave against opponents that were like 12-5, and like that says something. And then, but Invicta, I love Invicta. I love that there's a place like in the United States that was putting on atomweight fights. I love like for all the quality that they have churned out from a promotion that has a hard time putting on events with consistency. And that's the issue now, is like it's Invicta's big enough to like they like want to be on TV, but it's still been like it's still hard for them to put on as a lot of events because it seems like hard to fill those cards. Like at least right now, I don't know why there hasn't been an Invicta event in a while, but it does make me sad. I wish that you could watch an Invicta event every month. There was a period of time it stopped once, like like women's MMA has been like on a huge like climb in terms of the talent that there is, and like just the depth of quality. Ever since it exploded when, Ronda Rousey came to the UFC and all that stuff. But like Invicta, there was a period of time where if you were an Invicta champion, you were just like on an elevator up. Like you were just like every person that ended up like winning the Invicta featherweight belt. It was like you could have justified giving them a title shot against Amanda Nunes at the time or Cyborg, like in like one fight. Like after the UFC debut, you'd be like, all right, like she's next. So I love the Invicta product. I wish there was more. And I remember when Invicta put on that atomweight Grand Prix that you were in, and I didn't have access to Access TV fights, and so I couldn't watch it. There was nowhere I could find it. But I love that they do stuff like that. So what was the experience with Invicta like? And like with a promotion that like has, put so many female fighters in the spotlight and like is a very unique area of the sport. There are really no other promotions that are like that.
Yeah. First off, totally agree with you. The only thing wrong with Invicta is we don't get enough of it. That's just how I feel. That I love the promotion. I love what Shannon's doing with it, and has successfully done. I want more, and I'm greedy for it. Give me Invicta every Friday. I think you're right. There is a bit of a struggle. Male-dominated sport. There's less women, just generally. But I don't know. I feel like they have a pretty thick roster of fighters like already signed to them, and then I can't think of a single fighter, a chick anyway, who would get the call from Invicta and be like, no, I don't want to work with you. Like I can't think of anybody who would say no to an Invicta fight. But that maybe I'm a crazy person. Maybe I don't really know that many people. But like I don't know. It's an interesting thing. Getting to fight for them was amazing. That was, at the time that was like fighting and this whole fight world. I've always loved fighting, MMA. I've always loved martial arts. I've always been involved in martial arts. I watched UFC and stuff, and I watched Strike Force Pride. Like I watched these things when I was younger, and I always thought it was super cool. And like it never clicked for me that that's a viable career option, being a fighter. And when I was like a kid, what I wanted to be was a warrior. I was like, oh, I want to be like Aragorn, Lord of the Rings. I want to like run out there with a sword, fighting orcs and saving the world and stuff. And I read books, watched movies, all that stuff. And that's like all I wanted to be was the fighter character, the warrior character. And it's kind of this. I promise this makes sense. This does circle back around. But it was never something that I saw as like a thing I could do. Like that was for like badasses, like fighting in a cage. That's for like those people. I'm just me. I'm just this small girl. Like, I was never like crazy athletic. I was never, I don't know. I didn't see it as something that I could do. I was never pushed into it or encouraged in that sense. I did some like jujitsu tournaments in high school age. And that was like, whoa, we traveled to a jiu-jitsu tournament. We drove like an hour. It was crazy. I rolled 3 times, whatever. When I started training in an MMA gym, like I said, it was kind of more for my mental health. It's like, I just need to get my life back on track. And I ended up in this gym. Combat Fitness, now called the Institute of Human Combat, which is like the coolest gym name ever.
That's cool.
Right? So after about a year of training, my coach was like, hey, have you ever thought about fighting, like MMA fighting? Because I had done a few jiu-jitsu tournaments and indicated that that's what I wanted to do. And I kind of repeated my line. I don't know, that's like for badasses. That's not me, right? That's for those people. I said, no, there's literally no difference between you and a fighter except they fight. That's it. So I was like, I guess, sure, okay. And I like dreamed about fighting. I dreamed about it. And we got ready for it. And my opponent missed weight by like 26 and a half pounds. So that fight didn't happen. And I was devastated. I was like, oh man, it's like training to be an astronaut. And then the shuttle doesn't launch. So you did all this training and you have all this preparation, but you still don't get your astronaut wings. Like you still don't get that distinction because you have not been to space. And so I was like, and then I dreamed and dreamed and dreamed of getting to fight. And then I got to fight. And it was amazing. And I loved it. And I wanted to do more. And then eventually, like, my coach was like, well, I guess it's time to go pro now. You know, you've done the things that I wanted from you before we took you pro. Let's make a career out of this. I was like, oh my gosh, that never occurred to me as like a viable thing I could do. And so my point in this is that at each stage, I sort of dreamed small. And this is a cautionary tale, but it's also, this is something I'm kind of realizing for myself and that I need to adjust mind frame wise. But at each stage of it, I saw the next step as this like unattainable glory that I shouldn't have dared to dream for. Getting to fight, oh my gosh, that's for those people. That's for those crazy badasses, like the 1% of 1% of people who train actually fight, and that's like them. And then, okay, that could be me. Why not? Like, what's stopping me? And then I'm fighting for CFFC, and I'm like walking out of a helicopter to fight for the troops. And it's crazy. This is my pro debut, and I'm freaking out. And I'm fighting for Invicta at a tournament. I'm like, I never saw myself here. Invicta's like the big show, and it's like the one for women, and I'm in the tournament, and this is like I'm in an anime or something. This is the tournament arc. And I got super in my head. And then I'm fighting for Combate, and like, oh my gosh, this is like the next big step that I never even like saw myself capable of doing. And then, oh my gosh, I'm here at Ryzen. So my experience with fighting for Invicta, very similar to fighting for Combate and for Ryzen, just because of like where I was mentally, emotionally at the time, and the way that I processed what was going on. Absolutely incredible. I have no complaints. Any of the people that I met, worked with, at any of those stages, everybody was amazing. And in my heart, all I want to do is do it again. I just want to do more.
And yeah, I mean, the ones we've mentioned, but like the ones we like haven't even mentioned, like you fought in King of the Cage, and as you just said, Cage Fury, like all like good promotion. King of the Cage is another one that like you just wish you like saw some more of, because there was a time where King of the Cage was like LFA. It was like the premier feeder promotion, and the crazy thing is, like, looking back at the start of your pro career, it's like, Jesus Christ, your pro debuts against Jillian DeCourcy and Cage Fury, like that is a super tough pro debut. People wouldn't have known it at the time, but it's like, oh, both of these people are going to go on to fight a lot more in high quality promotions, and they're going to like have a lot of like good performances, and they're going to fight a lot of good people. Like, you'll know these people's names for a while, but it's crazy that it's like, hey, you like got an opponent, it was Jillian DeCourcy. This is like what she's done like before this fight, and it's like, okay, cool. And then later it's like, damn, like that is a hard pro debut to make.
Just the Invicta atomweight champion. It's fine. Yeah, no, Jillian's awesome. It was great getting to fight her, and like it was also really cool getting to see her go on and be successful in her career, because it's like, okay, there's like a little piece of you that like anytime you're beat, it's like, okay, well, you better go be champion of the world now, because I'm gonna feel bad otherwise. I'm gonna like look bad. Please don't do that. Like, and it's tough because she's like a good person, she's like really nice. It's not like she was rude to me, and I'm like, I hope you lose every fight from now on now. Yeah, it's like, you're right. It coming out the gate pretty hot with that one, and then we never slowed down. We've never like sought out opponents that would be, I hesitate to use the word easy or pad the record or anything. That's never been the point. It's just never been the point of fighting for me. I don't want to have like a 15-0 record against people who have never fought before or were like, I don't know. Like, for me, even at amateur, and I know you're supposed to be more discerning at pro because, the record matters and people care about the numbers, but it's just always been about putting on the best performance that I could and being proud of myself as a human being, as a fighter, and being that warrior that I always wanted to be, being that kind of like that hero of my own story. And I think I've had moments. I think I've had glimpses of that within. And those have been my successes. And there actually have been a couple. There's at least one fight that recorded as a loss on my record that, and like in my heart, I'm like, I won that. And I have no shame about it. I have no sorrow or darkness in me about it. And there have been fights that I won, like my hand went up and I got the double check and everything. And I was not proud of myself. And that is not a fun drive home or flight home, depending on how far away you are. Because it's just like the debrief is rough. You're like, I know I could have done better. I know I got like lucky at the end there. I saw an opportunity. I took it. Yeah, I know the numbers are important, but it's always been about the fight itself for me.
And I mean, anytime there's a split decision, I got 99.8% of the time that there's a split decision, it's very reasonable for both people to think they won, and for neither person to be like exaggerating. Like that's like the person's like view in the fight. And of course, like when it's a split decision, when two of three people, when three people can't completely agree about who won a fight, there's a question about who won the fight. And, you could argue for forever about like, you think back to some of the like really close decisions that have been like in some of the biggest fights, like over the last couple of years. And like, there's still debate about them and no one's necessarily wrong. We're not, human beings are not perfect at evaluating fights. We're watching with our eyes, processing it with our brain in real time, and then trying to go, all right, I assign you a 10 and you a 9. It's a crazy way of judging fights. It'd almost be better if at the end they just like the judges just said like win or loss to somebody. Like the scoring is that's why I loved the way that Pride scored fights. Like based on the whole fight was awesome. That leads to confusing things too, because you have to have round breaks for the most part. And so the round breaks become a little confusing, but not really. We have quarters in, basketball and football and innings. And it doesn't matter who won each individual one. It just matters what the final score is at the end. Even if you scored 7 runs in the 9th inning, if you lost, you lost. So judging is so tough in MMA because different people value different aspects of MMA differently. Like when I see somebody controlling from the top for a long time in a fight, and there's been a greater trend towards damage, being as there should be. But for a lot of fighters, you can tell whether they want to be on their back or not. It's like he doesn't want to be there, but he can't get up. He's losing that part of the fight. Now, as opposed to like, I love watching so many of like the scrambles that you get into in your fight and like the work that you do when someone's in your guard. I swear to God, I don't know if I've ever seen so many omoplatas attempted in a short period of time, like in this one fight in particular. It's like, damn, she's like going for it again. Like they're getting like, and there's a lot of like positions, like moving back and forth. It's like very fun grappling to watch from you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I hate that. The opportunity is always there. It's funny that you mentioned about like scoring and like I totally agree with you. I would never want to be a judge. Their job is so hard. I think it's only made it's only topped in like difficulty by the ref because the ref's got like tough decisions to make and everybody's staring at him. At least the judges are kind of like sat in the dark a little bit, like they're kind of like doing their thing and nobody's looking at them. Man, I would not want to be a judge. My coach brought this like every now and then. He's like, he has an idea. Should be you finish the fight or it's a draw. The end. Nobody can be sad. Like it is what it is. Get it done or don't. But like I'm partial to that. Maybe it's because I only win by finish, whether it's submission or strikes. I lose decisions and I win by finish, and that's like been my experience. But yeah, I think I haven't won a decision since I was an amateur. Like everything else has been, I get it done or I don't. So maybe I'm partial to that, but yeah, like it's always there. The opportunity is always there. I think that's why I like the ground. People kind of get the wrong impression. Like, oh, she's a grappler. She only wants the ground. She hates the standing. No, there's just like so many opportunities to like kill somebody in a really cool way on the ground. Standing up, it's kind of like, you knock them out or you don't. And there's beautiful ways to do it. I've seen striking that just takes my breath away. Like, oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. And it took his breath away because it was a liver shot. But like, yeah, to me, it's just such a complex and beautiful game on the ground. That's why I'm drawn to it. I do like stand up, and then the Cuban in me wants to just kind of like stand there and bite down and swing, just rock'em sock'em robots until somebody figures it out. But I have been informed that is not good fight IQ, and so we're working on that.
And the clip I played at the beginning of this, where they announced you as the winner, was that your fight against Andy Wynn, where the crowd had been like pretty into it when she was like throwing some shots like from the top, and then like boom, 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 armbar from the bottom, fight's over, bam. Like those are. I went to so I live in Newport, Kentucky, and Ohio Combat League does a lot of events like right here in Newport, like right across the river from Cincinnati. And Ohio Combat League puts on good events. And I just I went to one of their events, like I think that was last week. And at regional MMA events, you see like some of the craziest like situations that lead into submissions off someone's back. Like a guy has like clearly been losing 2 rounds. He's on the bottom getting hit, and like, oh my God, a triangle choke. Like that is like so exciting. I mean, take like Anderson Silva when he got Chael Sonnen in the triangle, like at the end of their fight. Like that is a very unique way that a submission can be more exciting than any knockout I've ever seen. Like that is the unique aspect of submission finishes. And I feel like they don't get like, and it's hard because so many people are just so skilled in jiu-jitsu now at the high levels that like it's hard to submit people like when the other person knows what they're doing as much as you. It's hard. You know that from anybody who's ever spent time in a jiu-jitsu place or an MMA gym, is a lot of the time when the 5-minute clock goes off when you're rolling is nobody submitted anybody if you're going with people that you go with a lot. So it's hard to get submissions, but like when someone pulls out something, especially like off the back, which I don't know what the statistics say. I don't know if they're as, common as they used to be, but that is, more exciting on average than I think the knockouts. You can see knockouts coming sometimes from a mile away, but a submission is like, oh, she's getting it. Like that's a whole different kind of reaction.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's a bit of a saying, like, anyone can close their eyes, swing their fist, and get a knockout, which, does happen. Somebody's hurt up against the fence and just wings one. So like knockouts can happen by accident. No one has ever caught a submission by accident. It's always like a high level of strategy, skill, application, timing, capitalization on mistake, whatever it is. It's like, oh, that was cool. I saw something really special just happen. And you're right, from the back, you are in a losing position, frankly, as someone who has spent a fair amount of time on the back, like you don't want to be on your back. They're allowed to hit you. It's not the same as jiu-jitsu. That said, like it's special, and it doesn't feel like a come behind victory. It feels like a strategic choice. Like I'm gonna show my nerdy self pretty bad here. I don't know if anyone is familiar with Magic the Gathering or any of those trading card games that I just really, really showed myself up on. But there are different play styles for the different colors of decks. And one of them there's like 2 styles I tend towards. Red, which is like just very aggressive, like in your face, just one after another, after another, after another. And then black decks are like very sacrifice based. Like you'll like cut your own life points in half to hurt the other guy. And I love those plays. And like you bring your own life down to like a sliver just to win. And it's such a strategic move. And for me, the jiu-jitsu in MMA can feel a lot like that. If you're on somebody's back and you're punching them in the head and then you get the rear naked choke, you're like, okay, dominant, dominant, dominant. But in those crazy scrambles and an opportunity presents itself and you snag it, that's a special feeling.
That's like, am I gonna like give myself up to maybe be taken down because I'm trying to snap on a guillotine. Like, well, let's try it. He seems like he'd go for it, like something like that. Oh my god! Well, is that what's going on in the background? Like, is that like? I see a lot of colors in the background, a lot of organization. I didn't know if that was like relate. I can't see what that stuff is in the back.
You're good. That's very different nerdy stuff. These are miniature paints for painting mostly Warhammer miniatures. Here we go. Here's one. This is like figures for tabletop war games.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So this is like my little painting zone, and yeah, those are mini paints. They're for painting tiny figures. I love it, and they're cool, and they have like crazy lore and stuff. But yeah, we're exposing my nerd side today pretty good. That's happening.
I mean, the thing is, like, how lucky anybody is in life to know what you like. Like, I think there are people out there that don't really know if they like too much stuff that much. I think like that's life on a very flat affect, is just like either like they're not able to pursue something they really love, or people just like don't seek it out, or they never found something. But how like however, like, you know, whatever it is in the wide spectrum of this world of things that there are, if you know what it's like, look, I'm not saying that like everybody loves this particular thing. What I know is, of the 500 people on it, this is me talking about like some of the different like sports things that like I'm like particularly obsessed with. It's like, I know nobody cares about that, but I do, and that's not going away. Like, it's like, I do. That's the point. Not everybody loves everything.
Right. Life is short. Love what you love.
And so, Katie, this has been amazing. As I told you a couple of days ago or whatever, we're having an open house here in a short period of time. So I got to get a jump on clearing out. This has been a very fun and fascinating conversation. I'm so glad that we could make it happen. And so if you have anything else that you want to say, or anybody you want to shout out, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to express, right back at you. This has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be, shared on your platform and just have a cool conversation with you. That was a lot of fun. I always have to shout out my coach, Coach Grimm, and Team Phoenix of Institute of Human Combat, where I train. Best place in Greensboro, actually anywhere, but check it out. I am fighting in July. This will be a strawweight bout, so I will not be cutting weight. But for International War Games 1 in Ocean View, California. So tune into that. I'm pretty sure you can watch it like everywhere that they're streaming. It's going to be available. It's like one of those. They're going nuts with it. It's very cool. So looking forward to that. Getting ready for it. I do dearly in my heart want to fight in Japan again. That was an incredible experience, just absolutely phenomenal. So I'm going to do whatever it takes, whether that's be really, really, really cute or really annoying online or whatever it is I got to do. I'm going to get back over there. Win my fights, decisive action. We're going to make this happen. So if you want to help me out with that, it'd be cool. And if you want to follow me anywhere, my Twitter account, sorry, Brady. It's K Maquina Asesina, and then Instagram is KT, like my name, KATIE Maquina Asesina, and Facebook Katie Maquina Asesina Perez. So anywhere that you're on social media, except like TikTok, you'll probably be able to find me if you want. And just I should. Oh wow, sorry, I'm a doofus. I should thank my sponsors too, real quick. Summerfield Family Chiropractic and Ammo Massage, who keep my body in working order to train and fight. Thanks, guys. Wings Air Sport, incredibly supportive, and also where I work, and they let me leave early to go train every day, and I appreciate that. And I'm very blessed and fortunate to have amazing, wonderful people in my life, and I honestly, I just want to make them proud. I make as well as myself. So that's what to look for if you're keeping an eye out for my future, I guess. That's my plan.
Folks, this has been a conversation with Katie Maquina Asesina. Perez, look out for her upcoming fight against Sydney Trio at International War Games 1 July 11th. As she says, going to be widely available to stream. See what Katie does for the rest of 2026. Katie, it has been a pleasure having you on here. Best of luck and health leading up to your upcoming fight. And folks, thank you so much for listening. Have yourselves a great week and peace.